hello.
Hey, how are you, Alex?
I'm doing fine this morning.
Good.
Mr. Swindle, I have a question for you.
Oh, I don't answer questions before 9:30. But yeah, you got 6 minutes before you're gonna. I'm kidding. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, what?
I was joking. I said I don't answer questions before 9:30.
Uh-oh.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, I know. I just have bad connection over here, so everything's just cutting out. Um, so on the email, was there an error, a typo on the time the class ended?
Why?
Yeah, I know my connection's it's sir?
Yeah, I'm here. I can see you and hear you. I got a little bit of a lag in my
Okay.
thing. So
I can't see anyone. So on the email you said it said yesterday you said class ends at 11:30. On the email it says, was that a typo?
I'm still missing something because you broke up. The email says what?
The email says 1:30.
So it's 11:30 is when we end. Who sent you an email that said 1:30?
You did, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, it's supposed to be at 9:30 to 11:30. And I'll look through my emails. I just won't do it right this minute.
Okay.
Don't want to interrupt class. A lot of people are running late this morning or cutting it pretty close.
Oh, boy, my poor connection.
Yeah, I thought it started at 9.
You muted again, Nelson.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
I said I thought the class started at 9. I said, let me look at my paper. And I said, oh, 9:30. I still got time to do what I
Yep.
need to do.
Yep, you're awesome.
Yeah, I was here super early thinking it started at 8:30.
So in the past, we did an 8:30 class, but this class is scheduled for 9:30.
Okay. And what about Friday? Is it 9:30 still?
All classes are 9:30 to 11:30.
Okay.
So I'm just checking y'all in here. Marcus here, Tyler's here. Alex Nelson.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Arcana, we can hear you today.
Yeah, thank you. That day is very, I can't listen. I'm so sorry. I missed my
No
class.
worries. No worries. It was our intro, so you're good.
Thank you. Good morning, all of you.
Let's see. Okay, we're just missing a few people here. Did everybody have a chance to look over their material on customer service, to read the chapter over and start answering your questions?
Yes, indeed.
Excellent.
Yes.
Good. We'll give it just, there's Naomi, so we got one more. There's Eduardo. All right. Eduardo, Naomi, welcome. Glad to have you guys.
Hi,
Hi.
it's Naomi. This morning was a panic trying to get in here. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but anyway, here I am.
Well, glad you're here.
I'm glad to be here, okay?
Good.
Mhm.
All right. Well, let's get started with our class today. We've got one more person isn't logged in, but we'll go ahead and get started. Today we are getting involved with customer service. And if you had a chance, you should have looked over the first chapter, that first module about customer service. This module covers things such as who is the customer, our image, dealing with complaints and communication. That's what today's class will focus on, is how we deal with the public. Now, just out of curiosity, as you guys read over the information and probably put some thought behind customer service, when you think of janitorial, why is customer service so important in janitorial? What do you guys think?
I think with janitorial work, you will be the first one online and interact with the public. And not only that, is what I have experienced or watch other custodians or somebody in that industrial field, they tend to shy away from the public because they don't want to deal with problems or any questions because they think that they don't have the answer for their questions.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like what you said, and also when people, you have a tendency, or I have a tendency to, when I'm asking questions, the credibility, and janitor always knows what's what's going on or where to go, what room to go in, and so I think that anyone connected to the building, and I feel that this occupation is connected directly to the building itself, also the establishment, and it gives you credibility.
Anybody else? Any other thoughts? I like what you both said, but anybody else thoughts behind that?
Okay, so now you're gonna put on your headphones.
My mute button.
Yeah, you'll have to unmute yourselves as you kind of go about answering, and I appreciate, you know, the idea of muting and unmuting yourself. So think about this. When we think of janitorial, first of all, a lot of people look at janitorial and think, this is the person who cleans up behind me, they clean up the building. But a lot of times they don't think of us in a customer service role. But I like what Nelson brought out, that, you know, a lot of the complaints and the problems, that's the first person they go to is the custodian. A lot of times it's because we're the ones that's the last one in the building. We see everything. So from that standpoint, really our role is very much tied to customer service. An example, and just kind of think about this, the background of the word custodian has to do with somebody had custody, and it was actually a Greek word that had to do with the keeper of the keys. So the custodian was the one, and we think about a custodian nowadays walking around with a big keychain, right, with the ability to lock and unlock all the doors. But they had access to everywhere within the building. And that's typically true with us in our roles. And customer service really is, we're providing a service. When we clean a building, we provide a service to our customers. We're providing them a clean building. So very much our role in the janitorial cleaning industry is a customer service role, which leads us to the question, who are our customers? Our book outlined that. You guys notice that on page 2 of your book?
Yes.
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 Okay.
Mhm.
Who wants to help us with who some of our customers are?
According to the book, you have building owner, operator, contract manager, quality manager, officer, building occupant, and visitor. But if we take a step farther, before we leave our house, we also a customer to our family. How well do we serve them? Because that would tell you, when you go out to the public world, you do a good job in your house, then you could carry that attitude out there in the public, how to deal with people and how to deal with business, because you're doing a customer service in your house, and then you're applying it out there in the world.
Yeah, Nelson, I think you're addressing the idea of, you know, our attitude, how we approach our roles in this business. If we approach it with a positive attitude, and, you know, if we think about others, you know, that's part of what customer service is thinking about serving others. That starts in our personal life. It starts at home, and then it's reflected out in other areas. So absolutely, that's an important part of really providing good customer service, is knowing who our customer is and then reflecting that in our attitude. I'd like to share with you guys a couple of good videos that deal with a positive attitude by a custodian and janitor, and how that is reflected, how they are perceived. This is a YouTube video, so I'll share that with you guys, and then we'll talk about that.
I don't hear anything.
Yeah, give me a second. The video's
okay.
loading, so it's going a little
Okay,
slow, Naomi.
Okay, I was just thinking it was me, and I'm.
Nope.
Okay, I'm not panicking yet. Okay.
Internet slow down, especially when we have multiple people in the house using the same network these days.
Okay.
Lovely background.
Are you guys seeing a page that says High School Janitor YouTube and it's black?
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
My screen is just black.
Okay, give it a second
Okay.
because the video hasn't loaded yet.
Oh, okay. Now I see something. Okay. Should there be audio with this?
Are you guys not hearing any audio?
No.
Yeah, I can't hear it, but I'm watching it on my phone.
No audio.
No audio, and it's really
No audio.
laggy.
No audio.
Hold on, guys. Okay, so nobody's getting audio with this?
No.
No audio.
No
Sorry,
audio.
I went a minute without you guys saying anything, so I assumed you were hearing it.
I thought you were working on it, Dave. Sorry.
I
I
thought
thought you
I
were
was
still
talking
being
too
in the
much.
right spot of the video, so I didn't say nothing.
I just
Yeah.
reading the body language.
All right, hang on a second.
That's in the book.
I guess we got the essence.
Yeah, we're going to try it again here. And just bear with me, guys. One of the things that has happened is, if you guys could see this, I got a new microphone that I'm doing voiceover stuff for training classes and building stuff, but I'm noticing some technical issues. You guys are my first class that I'm using it with. I'm hearing some echoing. So I'm not sure why I'm getting some of these issues. So I hope to have all that worked out today, and so that we won't have those issues. Let's try it again, and let me just see what happens here.
Custodian here at Trinity High School in Euless, Texas.
Are you hearing it now?
Yes.
But it's too slow. Oh, sorry. Too.
Yeah, it's
What's
very
going
low,
on?
David. It's very low.
Yeah.
The volume's real low?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll tell you what, I don't want to slow our class down today because of that. So what I will do is I'm going to work out the technical issues, and we'll add these videos in on Wednesday, or I mean on Friday's class. That way we don't waste a lot of time trying to figure out some of this stuff and tie you guys up. So, and we'll come back to some of the value of those videos, because they specifically talk about the attitude of individuals. And this particular custodian works at a school district, and it's how he's perceived, how he interacts with the people there. So that's where really appreciating, when we think about who our customer is, it goes beyond, as Nelson kind of brought out, it starts at home, but it goes beyond just the person who signs the check. It's the people who use the building. So if we're cleaning in a school, it's the students, it's the teachers, it's the faculty, okay? It is the parents who come to the school. If we're doing a good job, then it provides what for them? A healthy, clean environment. And that's our job. Our job is to give them that kind of environment. And by being well trained, having good attitude about what we do, not looking at our job as I'm the guy that cleans the toilet or take out the trash, but looking at it as my role within this facility is to provide a healthy environment. I'm concerned about people and their health. Now all of a sudden, it doesn't matter that you clean a toilet. That's part of you providing a clean environment for them. So we have to look and perceive what we're doing and why we're doing it. It is for the people that occupy that building. If it is a medical building, then it's the patients, the doctors, the nurses, the visitors. You know, all those people are our customers. So whether they see us or not, really our role is to serve them. And that's why we talk about customer service. And it's why we start out with that before we get into any cleaning, because we want to have an attitude approaching cleaning that is a positive attitude, something that looks at our role as a vital role. Here's an interesting thing too. You know, with this whole COVID pandemic, a lot of people think of the medical field, the doctors and nurses who are on the front line of the COVID pandemic. The unsung heroes, though, that are also in the front line is the custodial field, us who are doing the cleaning. Because we all have been into the grocery stores, right? We have to go pick up groceries. It's an essential thing. Imagine if nobody cleaned that grocery store. Would you want to go into that place and pick up groceries?
No.
You know, disease is going to spread. Not only is it airborne, but when we touch surfaces, we can pick up bacteria and viruses. So it's important that somebody's cleaning the restrooms, somebody's cleaning the floors, wiping down the counters, you know, making sure the facility is clean. So we really have a vital role in what we do. Now, taking it a step further, really, if we talk about our attitude and how we approach customer service, we start to think about our image. How do people perceive us? Now, wouldn't you all agree that in this day and age, people make judgments based on how a person looks or appears?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, for example, if we were to go into a facility and we're the cleaning professional and we're not clean ourselves, do you think they're going to perceive our cleaning as high quality?
Nope.
Yeah, not at all, right? But if we have give off the image that, you know what, I do care about myself and I show up to work and I have a clean shirt on, clean pants, you know, my shoes are tied and I'm prepared to go to work. I have myself properly groomed, you know. To that extent, grooming has changed a lot. Ken has a beautiful beard. Nothing wrong with having a beautiful beard. Love your beard, Ken. And you'll hear me comment at all on it for the next 3 months or 2 months. But to that extent, okay, if Ken's working with certain equipment, he may want to put it in a little bit of a ponytail if he's working with something that could cause a safety hazard for him. Or Ken, you use grooming tools for grooming your beard? Okay. What if Ken didn't groom his beard? And you're seeing him clean and he's got food debris all in his beard, you're not going to perceive Ken to be a clean person. And Ken, thank you for letting me pick on you, because I perceive you, just from what I've seen, very clean person. And I see that with all of you guys. You're all very presentable. But it's that personal image. Is our hair clean and groomed? Are we clean and groomed? Are our fingernails clean? Okay. Jewelry. In the cleaning profession, jewelry isn't something that we need to be wearing a lot of, because we have to be careful that necklaces don't get caught up, bracelets don't get caught in things. Even rings, those of us who are married or have a spouse may have a wedding ring, can't wear gloves with the ring. You have to take it off. So we have to be aware of that. Our footwear, making sure that we have shoes that are not open-toed shoes, that are not slick and worn out, so that we would slip and fall. Okay. I had an employee working for me this past year that the customer told us, we don't want him back in here because his pants are constantly sagging down. When he bends over to clean the drains, it's embarrassing, and their stocking crew says, we just don't want to see that. So again, it had to do with personal appearance. And we have to take that time to really think about, when we walk out of the door, how are we going to be perceived? Now, a lot of companies provide uniform shirts or T-shirts, something along those lines. But if they don't, take a little bit of time to think about what your image is when you leave and head to work. Is it something that's presentable, or does it look like you just rolled out of bed and threw on some sweats and went to work? And even though we're cleaning at night, a lot of times where we're cleaning when the building owners are gone, be aware we're still being seen. Customers may come into the building later on. Maybe if it's a school, a teacher may show up. If we're working in a healthcare environment, it's not uncommon in healthcare that the cleaning professionals, the executive housekeepers and janitors, are wearing scrubs just like the other medical staff. That way, they give the appearance of being in the medical profession. In a school, a lot of times you'll see the school custodians wearing a uniform shirt, or even uniform shirt and pants. So all that personal appearance affects how people are seeing us. Again, serving our customers. Now let's take it a step further. In our world of cleaning, we have a certain list of tasks, and as we go about our understanding of each of the areas of cleaning, we'll talk about a task list, and you're going to be assigned to do certain things. One of the biggest challenges is that not everybody who is our customers always understands what's all involved with our role. They may not always get that we have to do certain tasks, clean the restrooms, vacuum, dust, and so forth. They may walk in and see an area clean that's not necessarily as clean as they would in their home. And that leads to what? What's going to happen if our customer sees an area and thinks it's not clean to their standards?
Lead to a complaint?
You're going to complain.
Yeah, they're going to complain.
Yep. Happens all the time. You forgot to take my trash out. That area is not dusted. Those things happen. We have to be able to handle complaints in a proper way. And that's really what the bulk of the next hour we're going to talk about, is how we handle customer complaints. Our book broke it down into 3 areas. Okay. What was the first one? You guys remember reading that in your book? The different types of complaints.
Short-term issues.
Short-term issues. What are short-term issues?
Like not wiping the tables down, taking the trash out, whatnot.
Yep.
Things that you can handle real quick. No
Simple
equipment,
things.
whatnot.
Exactly, Mark. Simple things that we can deal with right away. An easy fix. forgot a trash can, didn't wipe down a table, things like that. What's the next one?
Mid-range issue.
Mid-range. Thank you, Arcana. Okay. So what are some mid-range issues?
Changing light bulb. You may need a ladder for things that could take a little longer, maybe a piece of equipment.
Yep. Things that you may have to come back, do it later in the shift or the next night, get addressed. Okay. And then what is our long-term issues? What are some of those?
Improper floor color after maintenance.
Yep.
Smells and stuff like that.
Yep.
Things that take a little more time, might need heavier equipment to do and planning.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So a perfect example is the wax is getting dull and it's wearing. It's more than just a daily clean. It's going to have to possibly be scrubbed and recoated or stripped. Maybe it's even worse. Maybe it's something that you have to go in and consult with somebody else and develop a plan to solve that problem. Store has damage to their floor. Is that something that the custodian or janitor can fix? It's out of our role, right? So that's a bigger long-term issue. Okay. There's a plumbing leak in a restroom. Again, not something we can fix. We can shut down the area, but ultimately they got to call in a plumber to get that fixed, right? So in all those cases, all right, whether it is short-term, mid-range, or long-term, who is, according to our customer, who's responsible?
Custodian.
I didn't hear that.
Custodian.
Custodian. Yep, you are. They hold you and I responsible. The reality is we may not be the one responsible for it, but we're the ones who have to deal with the issue, whether it is short-term, mid-range, or long-term. And how we deal with that really impacts our interaction with our customer. So if we have the attitude that I'm going to take responsibility, if it's something I can fix, I'm going to fix it. If I can't, I'm going to report it to somebody who can. That may be reporting it up the ladder, up to a supervisor or manager. In that case, they may actually have to consult with the customer or work with somebody else to get that problem fixed. They may have to develop a plan of action. But ultimately, when we take responsibility, what do you think that does with our customer? How do you think they feel when they come to you, they have a complaint, and you take responsibility?
Very professional.
Okay.
Gives you credibility and
excellent.
And trust.
They feel safe because the problem is being fixed.
Yeah.
I think they feel heard.
I like that one, Tony. That's what I was thinking of. You know, we all want to be heard. If they feel heard, then it is professional. It is making them feel safe. But at that point, as long as they know that they've been heard, then we're now addressing the issue. But if we have the attitude, that's not my problem. I didn't do that. That was Joe in the other room. Not my problem. That goes against what some of you said. It's not professional. It absolutely is not taking responsibility. Now, they're upset at the entire custodial staff, and you become the face of it. That's the last thing you want to do. You never want to be the face of the problem. You want to be the face of the solution, right? Because then they know, all right, I know that Christina's going to get the problem fixed. I know Robert and Eduardo are going to get the problem fixed. But if they feel like Robert doesn't hear me, Alex ignores me, you become the face of the problem. And ultimately, it doesn't matter what the problem is, you become the problem. And that's the last thing you want in this role. And that's why, again, we talk about customer service right up front, because we don't want to have that attitude. Now, in our book, it outlined, I don't know why it's sharing now. Okay. It outlined one specific thing that is the number one problem. No matter what happens, this one takes priority. What is that?
Safety.
Safety. Yep.
Safety.
Good.
Yeah.
What are some safety problems?
Mixing chemicals.
Okay.
And water spill.
Yes,
This
absolutely.
wet area.
Yep.
Yeah.
Any other ones that you can think of?
An electrical outlet that has like no cover on it.
Yep. And that's, Tyler, that's a good one. I can tell you personally, because a lot of our equipment in janitorial gets plugged in maybe in the back of the building for charging purposes or whatever. Or maybe we're plugging in a vacuum cleaner and we find an outlet that's not working properly, is unsafe. If we ignore that, we're putting our customer at risk. So that's a safety issue, and those issues need to be addressed right away. You mentioned water on the floor. Slip and fall. Somebody can get hurt. You know what the number one incident of safety issues in a grocery store is?
That slip and falls?
Slip and falls.
Yep. Number one. And think about why that's the case. You walk through produce section and they have these misters that are spraying the vegetables to keep them fresh, right? There's water. The guy who cleans the floor is mopping or scrubbing the floor. He's using water. A lot of stores these days have the big water filling stations to fill your own bottled water for 5 gallons. My mother-in-law about 4 years ago went into a grocery store and was walking through that section, and she slipped and fell because there was water that was splashed on the floor there. Interestingly, not long after that, I start seeing more and more grocery stores putting down matting in those areas to be able to solve that problem. So it became what was a short-term immediate issue became a long-term one. So we address those, and we address them right away. So now let's go into how do we address those issues. We talk about communication. Okay. And in your book on page 5, you'll notice a circle. It says customer appreciation in the middle, and there is 5 different areas. Okay. Those are the 5 critical parts of good problem resolution. Okay. How do we solve a problem, a complaint? And in our book on page 4, it has a little blue box, and it talked about addressing aggressive behavior, because occasionally somebody comes in and they just had a bad day, and they take that bad day out on you. Okay. Who wants to read for us the couple paragraphs there in the blue box on page 4?
All right, Dave, I'll take it.
Mark, thank you, sir.
There will be times when customers are angered by errors or aggressive towards regarding your tasks. It is important to remember the steps to customer communication, even if the customer is rude or inappropriate. Pushing back against this type of customer will only escalate the situation and create more problems. Focus on the first 3 steps of communication: listening, assessing, and explanation. The majority of the time, customers' frustration can be resolved with clearly listening to the problem and accepting your responsibility to solve the issue. Finding a common ground with customers on all issues can help to resolve any dispute. Again, it starts with listening and clearly understanding the problems that customers is facing. There may be outside factors that are contributing to their frustration, work issues, trouble at home, or financial problems. Keep these things in mind when establishing common ground. This will be beneficial to creating a calm and open communication.
Excellent. Guys, can you hear me better now? Did the echo start to go away?
Yeah, I don't hear the echo.
Yes, I don't hear the echo.
I think I figured out the solution there. So, Mark, thank you for reading that. So, one of the things that it addresses here, obviously, is how we respond to it. What did you guys pick up from that as Mark read that, or as you read it over? What stands out to you?
Just listening to me is the most important.
Number one thing we can do is listen to it. It mentions the first three steps of communication really are the most important. That is listening, assessing, and then explaining. So let's break that apart. Let's really address what we mean by that. We start with listening. So often, and I did an exercise, it's not really a good exercise in a Zoom class, but I did this with a class when we were doing a live session where we had paired off all the different people into pairs, and we had one person talk and the other person listen. And it was a back and forth, and then they would exchange roles. What was interesting in that dynamic is in most cases, most of us do a good job of listening. But I had one situation where one of the students had something else on her mind. She really wasn't connecting with the other student. And interestingly, what happened, it led to a blow up. The one student felt like, wow, she doesn't even listen to me. She didn't hear what I had to say. And she was offended. That's a real world situation that occurred, but it very well demonstrated how important listening is. Listening involves looking somebody in the eye, okay? Hearing what they have to say. Sometimes even just repeating back by saying, what I'm hearing is this. Or even asking, I want to make sure I'm hearing you correctly. This is what I heard. Yes, that's the problem. Doing that, Antonio mentioned just a little bit ago how important it is for people to feel heard. If they don't feel heard and you ignore them, you've got a problem. I had one particular customer and situation where, in particular, the person who was complaining, she wasn't a person that was responsible or managing anything, but the manager at the facility listened to her. So she was an influencer, right? And she had cleaned that building before, so she knew, and she had a very high level of cleaning. And the person who was doing the cleaning, the two of them just didn't click. And he felt like she was always picking on his cleaning. He became defensive. He ignored her. He would walk away when she was telling him things, trying to point it out. Ultimately, he lost his job. And the reason he lost his job, he wouldn't listen. When the customer was telling them, he thought, who is she to be telling me what to do? But she was part of the customer because she was somebody who was an occupant of the building, who worked there, and the manager at the facility listened to her. So critical that we listen and make that contact. In fact, the other part of this has to do with our body language. Think about this. When you have somebody who's listening to you, what is their body language? I'm looking around at you guys, by the way, and I see your body language. Ken, thank you. You demonstrated exactly. That's an attitude of, what? What are you going to tell me? Yeah, I'm closed off, right? Now, every once in a while, somebody's standing there. It's just cold. So, but how are we perceived? Are we making eye contact with them? Do we have a defensive posture? Or is it a posture that person feels like we're being heard? In fact, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a homework assignment. And I ask you not to get me in trouble with your family. In your home, I want you to try something in the next couple days. Tell me what happens when you do this. When you're talking with, whether it's your spouse, kids, family members, roommates, whatever, and they're talking to you, I want you to look them in the eye and just do whatever they're doing, but don't do it so where they're noticing it. So, for example, if you're talking to your spouse and he or she has got their arms crossed, just cross your arms as you're listening. And when they uncross their arms, you relax yours and uncross yours. If they're sitting and talking to you, you sit down and talk with them too. A perfect example of it, if you're talking with kids, if anybody's got some young ones around, when you talk to a kid and you get down to their level and listen to them, watch what happens. It's absolutely amazing how kids just open up when you get down and talk to them eye to eye at their level. And as a parent, one of the things we learn is that when we're standing up here and looking down at a child, it's intimidating. This big adult, they're a little kid. But when you get down and look them in the eye, or you're talking to your partner or, your close friend, and you're mirroring their body language, it's amazing what happens with that. It puts people at ease. And I learned this. I don't know if I mentioned the other day that I was a sales manager for a number of years. I went through a training class probably 15 years ago. And this gentleman was such a great trainer, and he just had amazing people skills. He related to people so well. And he made a comment that has stuck with me for all these years. He said that people like themselves. Okay, think about that. We like people who have things in common with us. Okay? So if you're talking to a stranger, you don't know them. They don't know you. The only way you can have something in common is a simple thing of how we are exchanging and talking and listening and our body language. So if we're mirroring their body language in a casual way, not in something that's uncomfortable, you'll find that you'll put people at ease. Okay? We have to get on common ground. Once you get on common ground, people get much more comfortable with you. So that listening is such a critical aspect of dealing with customer complaints. But now we have to do something with it. What is the next step in dealing with a customer complaint?
Assessing.
Yep. What does that mean? What is assessing?
More of understanding of understanding their issues.
Yeah, exactly. You have to figure out what's going on. Now imagine you're walking into a situation and perhaps you're in a role, you're in maybe a lead or a supervisor role. You're walking in and one of the people on your team has mopped the floor. Maybe they've left excessive water. And instead of dealing with the custodian or janitor, the customer goes straight to you. And they identify and say, Naomi, we need to talk. We've got a problem. All right. Now our defenses go up, but we listen, we hear them. Let me show you something. And he takes you over and shows you the problem. That's assessing it, right? That's a simple one. But it can go a step further, okay? because assessing may involve trying to figure out what's going on. Maybe we're having a problem where the custodian is doing their best, but it's a mechanical problem. It's a problem with the machine that they're operating. We have to assess the problem. The customer can care less exactly what the problem is, but them knowing that you are figuring it out and assessing it is important to them. So that's where you take the time and assess it. You figure out what is the problem so that you can help resolve it. Once you've done that, now it's time to communicate that with your customer. Explain the issue. Okay? And I'm going to read this from the book because it's a great point. It says, often frustrations come from customers who do not understand why a problem occurred or how it is being corrected. There are many times when the customer is even at fault for the issue, but it's your responsibility to correct this error. Explaining how to avoid the issue in the future, if needed, is essential, but doing so in a polite and acceptable manner is required. You should explain where the problem came from, potentially how it could be corrected in the future, and what you'll do to fix this. Now, here's an interesting thing. Let's take that and do me a favor, turn over to page 6. Notice the top of page 6, the box, you and I communication. That's where this applies. So how we address things really is important because, as the book just mentioned, sometimes the problem lies with the customer. But if we explain it in such a way that's attacking them, what's that going to do? You're going to put them on
argument, defense.
Yep. Okay, so let's take it out of the cleaning world for a second. Maybe a simple transaction. You know, you go to buy food at a restaurant and you get your order and it's wrong. You know, that's not what I ordered. Now, all of a sudden, imagine if the person who's taking the order, the waiter or waitress or whoever it is, takes the order, says, no, that's what you ordered. It's your fault. You made the mistake. Is that solving the problem?
No.
Are you going to eat there anymore?
No.
If you're anything like my family, you're going, all right, get the manager. Come on. I want to see your boss because now you're upset. So instead of solving the problem, it escalated. And maybe you did make the mistake. I've done it. I thought I ordered one thing, and then I've been told, that's not what you ordered. You ordered that. You were talking about this, but you ended up, that's what you ordered. Oh, you know, it is my bad. But how it's handled, so let's go through this you and I situation, okay? It says improper statement is you, a more appropriate manner is I. Who wants to read that first statement under you?
I'll do it. Okay.
Go ahead, Naomi.
Okay. You need to be patient. This could take time to solve. The area is clean now. Okay. You should be careful with coffee in an open container. You can use the other garbage cans on your floor until we are able to empty the mist one. Okay, so these are different situations, though, huh?
They're different situations, but
yeah.
Interestingly enough, there's nothing wrong with the statement on its own. It's correct. Yeah, you have to be patient. It's going to take us a little time to solve the problem.
I would feel offended.
Exactly. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So notice the I statement. Let me get somebody to read the I statement just on the first one. That first I statement.
I'll get that. I apologize for the delay. We are trying to get the situation solved as soon as possible.
You just took ownership, Ken. Thank you. Appreciate it. You owned it. You solved it. Hey.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. What else can they say? You accept a responsibility for it, and you're going to help get the problem resolved as quickly as possible. How about that next one? Who could read the next one for me?
Yeah, I'll take it, Dave.
Okay.
I will inquire about providing better supplies for the kitchen area. I've cleaned the area, and it is safe to walk on the floor.
So again, a little bit better than the area's clean now. You should be careful with your coffee in an open container. That says you're the problem. But now you're taking a little bit of ownership. You didn't make the problem theirs, and they feel comfortable. You took away the problem. How about our next one there, the third one about the trash?
I can't.
I will have the trash empty as soon as possible and will review how the mistake was made. I apologize for the inconvenience of the garbage can. Use them in the meantime will also be empty as well to accommodate the error.
Again, you took ownership. That, you know what? It doesn't, whether or not it was something that we created or not. I mean, heck, somebody may have come in and used that garbage can there at the desk. A boss may have thrown stuff in. You caught it, but somebody else threw trash in there. It happens. Okay. But when we take responsibility in our explaining to the customer, now all of a sudden you diffuse the situation. You put them at ease, and you've addressed the three most important parts. You listened, you assess his situation, and then you explain how you're going to resolve the issue. Okay? Now, if it is a midterm or a long range, it may be an answer that says, you know what, I went and dealt with it and have cleaned it up the best I can. However, there are some things that we're going to need to do. I've notified my supervisor so that we can get this taken care of for you. I'll have him follow up with you. Thank you. I've been heard. You did your best. It's beyond your ability. It's going to get taken care of. Mark mentioned earlier about a light bulb. You're going to have to get a ladder to do it. Maybe in your facility, your department, you don't have ladders. Maybe it's a maintenance function. You know what? I understand the light bulb's out. What I'm going to do is I'm contacting the manager of the maintenance department, and I'm going to have him get this taken care of for you. Now, this is going to be especially applicable in a healthcare facility. If you're cleaning in healthcare, things like light bulb replacement is the result or the job duty of a maintenance person. But if you're in a school, it's the custodian's job. They replace the light bulbs. So it all depends on your position. But either way, you still addressed the problem, right? Now, this is where customer service goes from good to great. Notice the next step. There's two more steps. What's that next one? Look at the circle back on page 5.
Go back on page
got the diagram.
Okay. Okay, we assess, we explain. Okay, you took action.
Take action. That's that next step.
Yeah, take action.
Okay. If you don't do anything about it, it's still a problem. So make sure you fix it. You said you're going to do it, then do it. If it's, a simple problem, take care of it. If it's a bigger problem, maybe it's something that your boss needs to do, follow through and take action, right? And then the last step is thanking the customer. Why do you think that's important? What do you think that could do?
Stan?
Alex?
Oh, sorry. You let them know that you understand their concern.
Okay. Any other thoughts there?
It'll make them more satisfied with their visit.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. They feel heard. Yeah, that's.
Well, it also concludes things. It wraps it up. You've done all those steps, right? You listen to them, you assess the situation, you explain to them what's going to happen, you did it. Now thank them. And that's taking it a step further. Christina, unmute your microphone.
Yes.
Go ahead. I heard you saying something, or saw you saying something.
Oh, sorry, I was talking to my kids.
Oh, okay. I get that. No worries. Hey, Christina, were you listening to your kids, or were you talking to them? So this is, as I mentioned, it's what takes customer service from a bad situation to a good situation, is when we thank the customer. Because at this point, we could turn that situation, and here's what's amazing with this last step. That last step builds relationship and opens the door for new opportunities if you are in a janitorial service. You know what? They appreciate that you showed appreciation for them. And now you start to build that rapport. Interesting thing also that happens when you thank the customer, that by building that rapport with them, they're going to be more likely to come to you ahead of time and resolve a problem before it ever escalates up the food chain to maybe their manager or to somebody who is a major decision maker. They make more likely, for example, if you're in a medical facility, right, and you're dealing with a problem and you've resolved that problem with somebody within a department. Maybe it's somebody in the kitchen staff who brought something to your attention, and you resolve the problem by thanking them at the end. Hey, thank you, John, for telling me that, or thank you, Mary, for telling me that, and this is what we did. Likely they're going to start to work with you and help you. Hey, Dave, guess what? I noticed this, something you may want to be aware of, because I know that our bosses look for this. Now it could benefit me. I could take that and do something with it. It makes an interesting comment at the end of the page on page 4. It says communication can be the demise of any relationship, whether it's personal or professional, if it is done improperly. Over the past 10 to 15 years, technology has enhanced the dynamic of communication at a rapid pace. Knowing which form of communication, how to use it, and when to use it is very important. So that leads to this issue. Our phones. Texting. Okay? It's important that when we're dealing with communication, there are some forms of communication are best done in person. But there are other times that this communication is going to happen via text, voicemail, email. So in any of those scenarios, we still need to follow the same process and think about the words that we're saying. Use, when we're explaining, use I communication versus you. I'm going to handle this. I'll follow through. Be careful that it doesn't come across accusatory, but also be professional about it. Don't become overly familiar or overly casual when you're communicating with these devices, because this too can get you in trouble. It becomes a situation where you can think that you have a better relationship than you do with the customer. And if you become overly casual and maybe giving them a hard time teasing them back, and you don't have the relationship you think you do, it can bite you. Mm-hmm. Or if you have, just one of those negative comments on here, this becomes a written record. Keep in mind, texts, emails are a written record of our communication. They can be very beneficial, but they can also get us in trouble. And one bit of advice I have, if you're ever in a role of supervisory role or management role, don't assume that just sending a text is going to get the message across. Follow up. Follow up with a phone call. Make sure people got that message. You know, multiple forms of communication is always better. Our book also talks about how that when we're addressing them, make sure that we have good grammar. Keep it simple. But another form in messages is not to use slang. Okay? Not to use just a simple TY. Thank you. You know, thank them. That's good professional communication. And I know we're looking at our role as custodians and janitors and so forth and thinking, well, am I really going to have that kind of communication? Yes, you do. In the world that we live in, we're all involved with this. It doesn't matter whether you are the frontline cleaning person or the back manager managing the team. Everybody's involved in that communication with the customer. So just following those critical issues. Okay. I'm going to try one more thing now because I believe with getting that microphone resolved, I might be able to still do this video because it'll emphasize this. And so if you give me a second, I'm going to try that one more time. Just a second here, you guys. And then in about 15 minutes, one of the things we will do is we're going to go over the homework assignment that we had.
Yeah, I just had a question about that. I couldn't remember what you said, but we fill that out ourselves and keep it. We don't have to turn that in electronically or nothing.
You do not.
Okay,
you
right on.
Keep it because it's beneficial for you for studying for your exams. A lot of the questions I build into these questions are things that I know that are going to be on those tests. So that'll help you.
Where do I? Oh, I couldn't. How do I pull it up? I just bought a copy machine. I got to get it hooked up. But how do I save it on this machine? Can I just save those questions? Oh, what would I?
I
know you're laughing. I don't know how to do it. And
I'm there with you. Hey.
Yeah, give me a second. I'll see if I can answer that because that's a good question.
Thank you.
Yeah, Naomi, I'm still trying to figure out my computer here. I'm afraid to touch anything, just like you said yesterday.
Yeah, you know, and the last time I had to use a computer, it was Word 6, okay, micro, and now it's 10 is what I have on here.
Right.
I'm saying, hey, I don't know what to do here.
Yeah, buy a Chromebook.
Grid view of the camera. I'm like looking cockeyed in the left and the right.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah. You know what, guys? It's constantly, and here's the hilarious thing. Okay, so my family and I just moved into a home, probably 3 months ago. I think it was November 1st. We moved into this house. For years, I had Comcast for my internet, and it was simple, no issues. The area we moved into, Comcast isn't available. So I had to switch over to AT&T, and I can do this stuff. It's a program, no big deal. But don't ask me to do a network and set up these network hotspots and all that stuff. I was so lost. Oh my God. I was so frustrated. And since COVID began, we have my wife who works from home. I work from home now because we used to do this in class. my teenage daughter, who's 13, is in school, so she's on Classroom. She uses something similar to Zoom. And then my mother lives with us now, so she's in her office. I counted how many devices and televisions and everything on our internet between phones and everything. There was 13 devices.
That's
between TVs in bedrooms, computers, phones, tablets. I'm lost. So I actually had to call somebody and say, I need help. Come fix this for me because I don't know what I'm doing. And I still have, you know, the lagging issues and so forth. So, all right, let's see if we can do this again with this video. I say that and get it up here, and I will share my screen. Are you guys seeing the YouTube? It's black.
It just came up black, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's loading right now, so give it a second here. And hopefully we have audio this time. It's loading, so forgive me.
Okay.
If I clean a toilet,
All right, let's
Yeah.
start it again. Can you
here at Trinity High School,
Can you guys hear him?
Texas, is an example
Yeah.
of an important
Good.
job in America. Don't tell that. You all do that trash to the custodian. If I clean a toilet and you sit on that toilet, you can rest assured that's the cleanest toilet you will ever sit on. I'll take your word for that. Yeah. Charles Clark takes his job that seriously, but his greatest asset has nothing to do with his cleaning. It's his counsel. We'll sit on his rock right here. Not long after he started at Trinity 25 years ago, Charles Clark began pulling kids aside. Y'all ain't just wanted to find out who our new coach gonna be? Kids he thought might be falling through the cracks. I'm not asking to be a Rhodes Scholar. Kids he thought might need a little mentoring. Before you get in trouble, you're gonna call me, right? Kids like 17-year-old Jesse Relate. Mr. Clark, let your outfit like that. I can tell you like anything. I know you can use your advice. He's very wild, very lovely. I'm gonna talk to you. They have never had a man tell them they love them before. Once they trust you and they know you love them, you can get them to buy into what you're selling. What does the school counselor think of you? Oh, they get most of my clients come from the council. Really?
That's very true.
Peggy McIntyre is a clinical counselor at Trinity with a master's in social work. And she says Charles has a better way with certain kids.
He's worked with a lot of our students here who ended up going to college, who ended up doing really well.
So he gets results.
He gets results. He sure does. He sure does.
Now, you don't want to wait till your senior year. By all accounts, this custodian has helped dozens of kids turn their lives around. Not because it was his job, but because it needed to be done. Proud of you as a young man. And there's a lesson in there for anyone who feels trapped by their title. Hey, now how you doing? You gonna tell me I don't have a good life? This custodian thing is working good for me. I got a great life.
All about attitude, right?
Yep.
One of the things, so kind of give you guys some background.
Nice outfit.
I put off the laundromat too long.
My mouse doesn't let me pause this. There we go. Okay.
So get a washer dryer.
One of the things in my role as a trainer and teacher is that I have also been a trainer through Elk Grove School District with the county jail. If anybody knows, Sacramento County has the downtown jail, and then they also have a jail facility called Rio Consumnes Correction Center. And part of my role as a trainer with Elk Grove School District is I also teach class for custodial class there. And, you know, in our teaching of this class, we spend a lot more time on positive experiences and positive role models for them. And some of these videos that I find in YouTube related to our industry has to do with, you know, having a positive effect on our communities. Now, you know, in your guys' case, you're looking this for career development, which is exactly the students I'm looking to help, is those who are looking to either change career or develop this, learn this trade. But a lot of times these videos I found, and I'll bring them into our class regularly, is experiences of individuals who've been successful in our industry. But they, like in this guy's case, his attitude was everything. Because in so often, the reputation of the custodian can be a negative one. It could be one that they're considered to be the guy that's the lazy guy, the one that doesn't seem to care, you know, just goes through and quickly empties the trash. That's that attitude, and that's poor customer service. So it's important that we have that positive attitude. And one of the things I liked about that gentleman, he said at the very beginning, if you sit on a toilet that I clean, that's the cleanest toilet you'll ever sit on. The interesting thing, a company I work for called Integrity Maintenance they have a janitorial service, and I'm a trainer for them. Part of their core values is pride in their work, and it's something that they constantly are telling people, take pride in what you're doing, because you want people to feel like you could say, I cleaned that building, I cleaned that restroom, that you take such pride in your work. Again, that's strong customer service when you have that pride in what you're doing and you take pride in your work. All right, let me see if we can resolve the issue and be able to show. So I'm going to go into my Google Classroom. So the question that you were asking, Naomi and Mark, was when you go to the assignment, how can you download the assignment so you could print it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me check on that real quick. Okay, so if you click on the assignment itself, so let me share my screen with you and we'll go into it. And then this gives us an opportunity for us also to answer those questions.
If they have Google Docs, it usually loads up automatically, at least for mine, that's what it does.
Yep. There's also a button I'm going to show you guys that is a print button on here. And are you guys seeing my Google Classroom?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So you'll notice I clicked on customer service here. We have customer service first assignment. So if you click on that assignment there, you have a couple options. You can do open with, which will allow you to choose a way to open it. Okay, whether it's Google Docs, and the easiest is Google Docs. It's interesting. I created this in Microsoft Word. However, when you upload it, it immediately puts it into a Google Doc. So there you can save it. And once it's in Google Docs, you can be able to print it out from there. Or you can simply go to the little print button and click print, as long as your computer or device is connected to a printer. So either one of those is acceptable.
Thank you.
All right. So let's go through and answer these questions. And this is where I get to ask the questions and you guys get to answer. And I'd love to get as much participation as we can on this. You'll notice there was 7 questions, but there's multiple answers on some of these. So, hear from all of you. The first question in looking over this stuff, name 4 things that could be included in customer service. And you'll notice there was more than 4 things listed, but what are the 4 things?
Listen, assess, explain, and take action.
Excellent. Who said that one?
Robert.
Robert.
Sorry, you can't see my lips.
No worries. Thank you.
That's Robert. Okay.
Excellent. All right. Did everybody get that?
Mm-hmm.
Listen, assess, explain, take action. And today we covered a 5th one that we could do, thanking the customer.
Thank you.
Those are all things that are part of that customer service experience. Now, who are the customers that a facility staff members deal with? We answered at the beginning of today's class.
All occupants of the building.
Everybody occupying that building. Yep. And I mean, that goes to the guy who's running the back of the warehouse, if it's in a building, or, it doesn't matter. Everybody who comes and goes, including if this is a public facility, maybe it's a grocery store, maybe it's a medical building, the people coming and going, the customers of theirs, they become part of your customers, because again, we're providing a service to everybody who occupies that building, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the straight answer that you guys said, the building occupants. So what's involved in body language? And number 3, body language can include what?
Nonverbal communicating.
Okay, nonverbal communication. Give some examples of that.
Folding your hands, hunch your shoulder, nodding your head.
Okay.
Do not use your finger in talking.
That's it. Let's let Eduardo answer, because I saw he was about to.
Oh, no, it was the same thing.
Okay. I want to make sure everybody has a chance to answer.
No eye contact.
Eye contact, yeah. Eye contact's a huge one in nonverbal communication, part of that body language, because you're rolling your eyes. And remember I told you the experience of the one-on-one situation where they were doing that and the one gal got upset? Mm-hmm. The one who wasn't listening was rolling her eyes because she was just like, I didn't want to hear it. And it was a perfect example of what not to do. So, good. Now, 3 things that can help make a good first impression. What are 3 things that will help us, sir?
Parents.
Hygiene and stuff.
Hygiene? Yep.
Maybe just
Christina, what was that?
Maybe just like if it's a classroom or a school, and maybe just introducing yourself to the teacher, just like, hi, my name is such and such. I'm new to the area. If I miss something, I'll eventually get into my routine. Just kind of like letting them know that you're new. So if you do forget something, it's not like you did it intentionally. You're just trying to get a feel for the room or the area or the facility, to kind of have a good rapport with them. So that way they don't just go over your head and complain. They can just say, hey, by the way, you missed this garbage can over here. I don't know if you knew about it, etc.
Yep. And that's huge. When you build that rapport, that goes a long ways. And it goes to exactly what you just said, Christina. They're going to have the tendency to come to you first instead of going above your head. So absolutely, that is important. It used to be, prior to COVID, a handshake. Okay?
Yeah.
You can't do the handshakes anymore, right? And unfortunately, as Robert's demonstrating for us, people don't even see our smiles.
Mm-mm.
So now we have to do it through our communication, use our words. As Christina said, introduce yourself, talk with them, and have that eye contact. Because right now, that's what we're limited to. All right. We dealt with customer complaints. Understanding that customer complaints are common, what should be your attitude towards handling them?
Positive.
Okay.
Stay calm.
Yeah, be respectful.
Attentive.
Yeah, attentive, yeah.
Stay calm. Ask a question.
Okay.
Understanding,
Whose responsibility?
understanding them.
Go ahead, Nelson.
No, I said understanding the customer.
Yep. All of those are good. Number one thing, accept responsibility. Okay. And understanding that these complaints are common. How our attitude in handling them, I'm going to help them get this taken care of. Okay. When you have that attitude, everything falls in line with that, because then you're going to listen, you'll assess, explain. But if you have the attitude, not my problem, you're not going to do any of those other steps, right? So it's important that we do that. We mentioned the 3 categories of complaints. What are those 3 categories?
Short term.
Short-term issue.
Okay, our short term,
Mid-range.
long term, and mid range. Good.
Yes. Safety concern.
Safety is number 1. Very good. And that's that last question. What issue should always take priority?
Safety.
Safety, exactly. Okay, very good. So that was some of the review for this one. I've already put the next assignment up here. Okay. And I'll show you that one. Are you guys still seeing my screen with the classroom?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of these questions are basically on what we just covered. How many steps are involved in good communication? What's the most important? Give an example of you and I communication. Most notable types of harassment. So the harassment issue, that's going to be part of our lesson on Friday. So make sure you finish out your book or your module, this module on customer service, because we are specifically going to address the issue of harassment, okay? How we can prevent it, and we'll also deal with discrimination. So that is going to be your assignment for this week. And then what will happen is the end of class on Friday, I'm going to show you guys, so I have to make sure they've got it all set up, how to go in and do the ISSA testing. Because after we finish this module, which was, as I mentioned, this one's a short one, you guys will be able to start taking the test for this module. The next module that we go through when we talk about chemistry takes us 2 weeks to cover. There's a lot of details to it, okay? And being upfront with you, you're going to get a math assignment on one of those days, because we're going to specifically deal with dilution ratios, okay? And understanding the proper mixing of chemicals. You know, things like how many ounces per gallon, you know, that dilution ratio, and coverage rates. You know, how much will this product cover? Those are important, because as we start working with chemicals, you need to know, when it tells you how to mix it, how to properly mix it, right? So we'll deal with that issue. That'll be in that chemistry section. We're going to get into a lot of questions on chemicals. I have a homework assignment also. This is just, it's not in the book, it's not in the assignment, but I want you all, everybody has cleaning chemicals at home. I want you guys to get a list of your cleaning chemicals for next week's class. Okay? So everybody needs to know what products they have at home, what products do what do you use them for? because after next week, you're going to find out we will not talk about brand names after we talk about it for the first session. Because what you have at home is a brand name. Clorox, Windex, Fabuloso. Those are all product brand names. You're going to learn about what a chemical is called. Is it an acid? Is it an alkaline? Is it a solvent? Okay. Disinfectants. You're going to learn the technical terms of the different types of disinfectants. That section there's a lot of detail. So if you're not taking notes yet, next week's class, be sure to take notes as we go through the class. Okay. You could do it in your book. You can have a notebook to take additional things, but we'll do that. And next week we have a lot of video. I will be posting over the weekend a lot of content for the chemistry class, including some videos that we'll watch in class, but that you can refer back to. Because the understanding how chemicals are made is a little on the complicated side. So we're going to try and make it as simple as we possibly can. The interesting thing I will tell you about this, the people who write this book that have developed a lot of this material come from chemical manufacturers. They work for chemical companies. And a lot of people who up until recently took these classes worked in the supply business. So for them, this was important for them to understand how chemicals were made, because a lot of sales reps will go tell you about the latest, greatest product and have no idea how it's made. So a lot of this was originally written for them. Now it's stuff that they've adjusted and made it suitable for us, because more importantly, we need to know, because we're the ones using the product. So you need to know, should I use an acid? Should I use an alkaline? Should I use a solvent? What should I use? Okay. So again, assignment for next week is going to be getting a list of all your chemicals together. For Friday, finish reading the chapter and answer your questions on that second assignment. It looks like somebody has already turned in this to me. Again, there's no need to send it in to me. You don't have to click turned in. Just make sure you're doing it and you have a copy of it, because that's going to help you when you go to do your testing. It's having these completed assignments. Okay. I will tell you, your testing with this class, it is open book, meaning if you're testing and you're going through it and you come across something you don't know the answer to, don't guess. Refer back to the book if you're not sure. Refer back to your notes. You should be able to pass it that way. I've had so many people who tried to guess this and go through it and take it that way. If you fail a module, you have to pay to retake that module. So don't guess. Make sure you have that answer right and you verify it in your book. So, and that's why we also start testing as soon as this weekend. So, okay, we're wrapped up with the session as far as my portion. This is now, if any of you has questions, things that you need help with, that's where this next 30 minutes is. If you don't have any questions or things you need help with, then you're welcome to be able to drop off.
I have a question looking at what I see on my screen, and it tells where the customer service, where our first assignment was. But to the right of it, it has 7, and it says turned in, and then it says 5 next to that assigned. What does that mean? Nothing. Okay.
It's a stupid thing that Google did, and I don't use it, so it means nothing for our class.
Okay. And then I'm afraid to click the button, but I see 3 little dots, okay, on the side of these. And if I click one of these dots, what is it going to do? I don't want to lose anything, but.
So, really
it says edit, delete, or copy link. That's what it says. I hit one. Okay, that's what it says. Okay, I'm good.
Yep. So mainly for me as the instructor, I can go in and edit assignments. I can delete an assignment. So that's what it's beneficial for me as the instructor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And let me see. Across from it says certified. Well, at the very top, the header, and then it has a thing like for settings, and it has the cog there, and then it has a set of. Let me see. Okay, it says a Google Apps is the next thing it has. Okay. So so I see.
Yes, those are all apps.
Okay.
In fact, okay. So last week or last class, somebody asked me about the calendar. Can I put stuff on the calendar for the dates that we will not have classes? Okay. If you go into the classwork portion to the top and you click on Google Calendar.
Okay.
And I'm hoping this will do it right.
Yeah, I see calendar.
It's loading right now.
Yeah. Okay, I see a calendar. It starts with 31. Yeah, the 30. Yep. Okay.
And it's loading right now, so, or mine is at least. So it's thinking. So give it a second here.
Okay.
Because I went in and showed the times for the classes. Yes. Okay. So on the calendar, you'll see today's class, Wednesday the 3rd. It shows 9:30 to 11:30. By the way, if anybody got an email, and I think Alex brought it to my attention, thank you, Alex, that said that class was 9:30 to 1:30, that was a typo. It's 11:30. The lecture portion of the class or the classroom portion usually is done by 11. The last half hour is interaction, things you guys have questions about. So that classroom, that calendar, if you go to, you'll see where we have assigned classes. And for example, next week, you'll see I have shown that there is no class on Monday. And then the following week, there is no class on Monday. So those are now all into that calendar. So where that's located is in your classwork under Google Calendar.
Okay.
Okay.
And I ask you something because I'm from other country and I'm learning English.
Okay.
I try everything. So I request you gave me all assignment. So can you here put the answer so I keep all copies to print out my safe. It's easy because I'm working 10 hours, 12 hours. So easy for me.
Okay. So Arcana, let's do this. Let's do a one-on-one conversation afterwards because I don't know if I can give you exactly what you're looking for, but let me see what I can do for you.
Thank you so much. Only I need when you like a first assignment you gave me only with the question and some short answer, so it's easy for me because I'm learning English.
Yeah, let me see what I can do on that. And I
so
think
much.
we have an instructor that will be able to help us out also. That's our ESL teacher. And I think she has that. So let me talk to her. And you and I, let's on Friday at the end of class, I'll be able to hopefully have some answers, or I may be able to email you that.
Okay, thank you. Because so that's help for me for my test.
Absolutely. Yep.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions or any technology issues that they have some concerns about?
Yeah, I do. Alex here.
Okay, Alex.
I'd just like to know more details about this upcoming test. Exactly how we'll be taking it.
So that on Friday, I'll be able to show you it. It is an online testing. So we'll be able to go into one of the tests Friday, and I can actually show you on the screen, but it's online. Each module ranges anywhere from about 15 questions to I think the longest one is about 32 questions. Okay. And the way the testing is set up is that if you stop and you have to log out for any reason, it will keep the answers as long as you follow the instructions of saving it. It'll keep the answers that you've already done, and you can come back and finish it. Does that answer that, Alex?
Actually, no. But there's more to that. So yes, I understand it's online, but I have my notes on Google Docs. Will I still be able to access Google Docs while taking the test?
Yes, if you have either split screen or dual screen or use a separate tablet, any of those ways you can do that.
Okay.
How much is it if you don't pass the test to take another module test?
Good question, Christina. Okay, so first of all, we won't have you do any retesting until we get towards the end of the class. So I actually end all the modules we still have like a week left before we actually finish the class.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have to just retake one module, I believe it's $20. If you have to retake 20 or 26, something like that. If you have to retake more than one, then they have a flat fee of $53 to retake the whole thing. But the cool thing is you're not required to retake.
Yeah, we're done.
Okay.
The last half hour he said is for like questions and
Okay.
stuff like that. So I'm not doing nothing. I'm just sitting here listening.
Sorry, I didn't get the rest of that.
So it's the maximum is $53
Okay.
if you have to retake more than two.
Mhm.
And you would only have to retake the modules that you got less than 80% on.
Are the the test, are they on our own time, or would they be handled, or will we take them through the 9:30 to 11:30 time, or
anytime you want on your own time? You can take that time, and because it's open book, you can, if you're stuck on a question, you can go back into the book. If you're really stuck on a question, then in a breakout after the class is over, you say, hey, Dave, I'm having a hard time understanding this, and you need some help with it, then we can address that. If I have more than one person, like several people are stuck on a problem, then we'll go over it, because that means as an instructor, I want to make sure you guys understand that. I will tell you, I'll never give you the answer, but I'll make sure you understand how to get the answer, if that makes sense. So, in some cases, I'll be up front. Some of this testing has a tendency to try and trip people up. Okay. People write tests tend to do that. So there is a lot of questions that will occur that will say, what is not the correct answer? I hate those kind of questions, but it makes you really think and look, what are they asking for? They're asking for, of these 4 statements, one of them is not correct. So, and I'll give you some examples of that. One thing I will do for you also, you will get on Friday a practice exam, so you have a lot of the questions that you could look up in your book and go over and find the answers and then take the online. So it's a great way for you to prepare it and make sure you have all the answers. Most of my classes have found that that's been very beneficial, because they'll literally take a printed copy. They can take it right off of the classroom, take a printed copy, go through, answer it all, and get all the answers out of the book. And then when they go to take the test, they have the answers. Now, here's the trick to that. What happens when you get the printed form versus the online version, it's all the same questions, but they change the ordering of them. Okay. So every time they put a test online, the order changes. All the questions are the same. So you can't go through and go, 1 is A, 2 is B, 3 is C. That doesn't work. you have to know the answer. So,
Good question, Dave.
Yeah, Mark.
So let's say I took the test, and I assume it gets graded as soon as I enter how many I got right or wrong. Will it tell me or show me what I got right or wrong?
Yes.
Or what I got wrong?
Yes. The only time you will not have access to your test is after you've completed all 6. Once you've completed all 6 and passed it all, then you no longer have access to the testing. It's done and you've completed. So, yeah. Then it closes it out, because then the testing app closes that down for you. So, and again, we'll take some time on Friday to, part of our class will go in. I'll have the sample test so you guys can review that, and then show you how to go online and log in. You'll also get all of your login information. So the intention is to have all that ready for you guys for Friday.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, I have a question. Let's say that you need to take one module test over. Let's say the third module test you need to take over, then pass. Do that module test change? Will it be a different module test, or will it be the same module test?
Same one, but again, the number order may change when you take the retake, but the questions are all the same.
Okay.
So the test in itself doesn't change any of the questions. It's just the number order when you retake. And another thing to kind of help you guys with, let's use your example, Nelson. If you fail the third one and you need 80%, you got a 78%, and you have to retake it. That doesn't stop you from going through and still doing number 4, 5, and 6. We want to complete all of them, and then we'll talk about retakes. Okay? But we won't talk about any retakes until you've completed all of them. And the reason we do that is ISSA would prefer that if you have to retake a test, if you have to retake maybe 2 or 3, they're only going to send you those, and all they're doing is on the app that you're online, it'll turn it on for a retake, and they just acknowledge, okay, yes, you can retake that, and you only go into those 3 modules, or whichever ones you need to retake. So,
oh man, okay.
They keep it's in all honesty, it's one of the simpler test systems I've seen, and you guys will see that when we do the one on Friday, as far as getting you started with. So,
and there is any app for that question answer?
No, it's not in an app. It's on a website where you'll have a link to it. But Arcana, one of the things that'll help you is you will have a copy of the test so that you can research and find the answers, and that way you know what you're looking for. You could actually take a pre-test and you'll have all your answers ready.
Okay, thank you.
I have a quick question. Is there a time frame? Say you give us something to do on Friday, like a module. Is there like a time frame where we have to have them done? Because I have other schooling that I do, and I know like some of the testing after midnight, I can't do anything. And I work night shift, so after midnight's when I'm up to do stuff.
Yep.
So I'm kind of like blocked right there with some of my other schooling.
I've had to do the same thing, Christina. Our class does not have that. Okay.
Okay.
One of the great things, and I will take a fear out of for all of you. From the time we start the testing, okay, when we finish class, you have up to 2 months to finish your testing. Now, our goal is for you to finish the class, having tested, completed, and get your certificate. But because that's when you have my access to me. After you complete the class, if you want to go in and let's say you didn't finish the test and you didn't do your retakes, and it's 2 weeks after the class is over, you have your book. You can email me, but you're no longer in the classroom setting. So the advantage is try and take it while we're doing the class. but you could take it at 2:00 in the morning. If I assign it where you'll have access to it after we completed that module, you could take it at any time. I will warn you, you theoretically could go in and take all 6 modules as soon as you get access to the test. Okay. Don't do that. Okay? It doesn't work out well because you're guessing at that. So, just take it as we go along. So.
Okay, yeah, that's why I turned in the assignments, because I'm like going to I have a lot of classes and they all have to be turned in. That's why when it said turn in, I'm like, okay, turned in. So for me, it was just an automatic response.
Yep. You'll notice on Google, I put no grade for it because this is not the graded portion.
Okay.
The graded portion is your testing, okay, and your attendance. Those are the 2 things that are graded.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
It'll be hard for me to ignore that button, submit or turn in, because that bugs me too.
If you do, it's okay. I have no issue with it. And I've gotten a lot of your guys, those who did turn it in. It's great because it allows me to kind of see how you're doing. But ultimately, that's why we do this as a review in class, because I want to make sure as part of our review portion, everybody's getting the answers. Okay? All right, guys. Well, then have a good Wednesday afternoon. Enjoy the sunny weather. After all that rain yesterday, it's gorgeous out there, so enjoy it. And we will see everybody on Friday morning.
All right, have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
You have a nice one too.
Bye.
Thank
you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now how do we get out of here?